Hello Tamers, Sergio back in team. Well, with release weekend done, I've now gotten my hands on some boxes of BT21 World Convergence. With this set being being the first set under the unified format. And with that one tell being the new updated Digimon TCG logo up front. With the big selling point of this set being that being a big focus on encapsulating all of the main characters of each Digimon series. And as you can see from the bottom left corner and from the front box art, that also includes the spin-off series Appmon. And before we crack into it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to help with the algorithm. And with that aside, let's crack into it. And starting with box number 1, let's crack into it. And opening up the seal. And let's open her up. Away the seal. And as we crack into the box itself, we are actually greeted with 2 box toppers. As going over it now, first off, we get Illustration Celebration Pack with it, which ends up being random 2 cards of, technical reprint of noteworthy cards from the game's history. And cracking into it now, we end up getting the new promo War Gray, being Adventure Sport, and then new promo Emperor Gray. And apologies as usual, we have the camera going out at the last possible minute. Going back into it. First off, we have the new promo War Gray, which is a promo reprinting of BT14 War Gray. Well, the new promo Emperor Gray here is based off of BT7 Emperor Gray. Going over both, the new promo War Gray is 12 hard play and 4 generic off of level 5 red, or alternatively can digital off of any Melgray level 5 in name, or any adventure trait for a cost of 3. And on digital, it gets to delete 1 opposing Digimon with as much or less DP as itself. And then, for all turns, this Digimon gets plus 1000 DP for each color Digimon and Tamer for each color Tamer, Digimon, and Tamers. For each color Digimon and Tamer on board, it seems. Well, the new promo Emperor Gray here is 12 to hard play, and then 4 generically off of level 5 red, blue, green, yellow, or can digital for 4 costs off of Taguya with 5 hybrid trait cards underneath as blocker, and on Digivolve deletes 1 opposing Digimon as much or less DP in itself, and as well gains additional plus 1000 DP for each color its source, and at the end of your turn it gets to spend itself. With that, that's it for the 2 illustration promos that we get. Now on to the limited card pack here. This ended up being a portion of the limited card pack that came out prior to BT21's release, and thus we get access to some of its card pool. And starting off from there, get the new LM Valkyriemon, new LM Vikemon, LM Regiculusmon for Deep Sabers, new Ryseomon for Angels, and then Darkdramon Ace for D-Brigade, Cyborg, and optionally Axle trait. And following that, Ghoul Ace, and to top that off, we end up hitting a alternate art that comes from the LM set, with that being the new reprint of Analog Youth. With this taking inspiration from Digimon World. And as you can see in the little corner here, if it wants to focus, it also plays homage as we see Taimon. Taimon up in the corner over the cost. That's it for promos. Now on to the pack openings itself. And getting it out of the box. Let's begin, and as usual, starting from the right. Let's blast into it. And starting off, we end up going through the legacy support of main character decks, as we get the new Ghost Gamma, new Agumon, with this actually being the Liberator flavored one, in fact, as ends up being the support for the new Dragonkin Liberator deck. Following that, we, end up hitting our first new archetype card in the form of Mushroomon for Wind Guardians. Following that, we also hit our first Appmon in the form of Scopemon, being one of the earlier antagonists from that series. This actually in having, being a level 4 as a superior Appmon. And oddly enough, this ends up being good stealthy Three Musketeers supports, as it also can evolve off of a Three Musketeers. And also might as well go over as well, since another feature inherent to the Appmons is the linking text box. Since, for its main effect, since it works similar to the new, to the X6 Legend Arms line, which you pay the cost to then add them to the sack. Though in the Appmon's case, you aren't actually putting them into sources, rather than you put them sideways to show the extra DP boost while triggering the when linking effect. Though, once again, they are not actually part of the stack, so any DD into them doesn't count. And also, and also on that point, the linking effect is only valid unless the top stack is an Appmon. So whenever it loses it, you will then lose the link card as well. And then following that, new Spirit Evolution for hybrids, and then Daramon for Wind Guardians, Strongest Brothers for Gammon deck, and following that, a new Gammon. Then we also get a new Lydramon, and then a new Greymon with the Adventure trait. And for rares, we end up getting the level 4 for the Gatchmon line in the form of Dogachmon, who also has a the new keyword App Fusion. As you can see, going off, you could Digivolve hard play or Digivolve accordingly. Alternatively, as you can see, you can Digivolve generically off of, for 3 costs, off of a level 3 red or green, or any standard trait Digimon. And then we also have the new App Fusion keyword, which works similarly to DNA Digivolve, though it does have the caveat of the resulting evolution still remaining as the same Digimon. Since again, you are using it, this is achieved through Digivolving over a Digimon with the linked Digimon. So, as you can see, we have an App Fusion between, with Dogach being an App Fusion between Snatch, Navi, and Tweetmon alternatively. So, in pretty much reading this, it just requires you to have one on board while having one of the other materials be linked to it in order for you to stack the link cards and digivolve into it. With Dogach, guaranteeing Russian raid, being a Russian raid body, and on your turn, when it gets linked to, allows it to attack. With its linking effect, being able to allow the Digimon it connects to attack. And to follow that up, we end up hitting the new Regulusmon. And following that, now onto our next pack. And then we got a new Kiwi for Wind Guardians, new Yokomon for Wind Guardians, Can Turn My Back for cross-art support, and for our first new Liberator card, we end up paying the very ore farming art for a new Liberator Snashmon, which ends up giving support towards the Galacticmon deck, following whatever will come next. Also, we get the new Bill Gamma, Armor Digivolution for armor support, new Flamemon, a Wind Guardian Floramon, a new Shoutmon King version for the Hunter's deck, a new Vemmon, and following that up, we end up hitting the new Tamer, one of the new Liberator Tamers, as we end up getting the 3-cost own Dreadnought in this as a rare. Being a passive tamer and allows, at the end of turn, it suspends himself to then allow one of your Reptile or Dragonkin to gain Pierce and allows them to attack. And following that up, for our first super rare, we end up hitting the new Wind Guardian aligned Puppet Ace, being the, third Dark Master to get a retrain that's part of a faction, other trait. With Puppet Ace here being, looking quite nice, as it's by Yamuratsu. Given its ace, can hard play for 7, or alternately, digivolve for 4 off of a level 5 black or green generically, or alternately can digivolve off for 3 from a Wind Guardian level 5. Has reboot and blocker, and on play on digivolve, DDG2, 1 opposing Digimon, then return 1 suspended Digimon to bot deck. And let's rearrange piles here. And, let's continue on down the pack. With that being our first start hit. And then I would like to preface that we are now back to the standard 2 alt art and I believe 3 or 4 SR hits in ratios. And on opening us up with our new pack, we end up hitting the new Liberator Sunrisa, being the archetypal evolution Riza, with its effect being, when trashed as inherited effect, being able to also take out a cost 4 or less Digimon. Like that, a new Wind Guardian Woodmon, and then you end up hitting the Appmon Calendamon, who, as a neat fact, within, for its art, as ends up, seeing the date on there, October 1st, with it actually being, with its original art, originally known art, actually depicting Odaiba Day, with the October 1st on here actually signifying Appmon's first day airing premiere. Then from there, cross up for Hunters, a new Burning Gray, and then we get the current only egg for Appmon being Swipemon, as it gains, well, gets you to draw one whenever you are linked. Pulling that up, we now get a new Liberator Songo that is also an archetypal producer, with the also an attack inheritable to gain 1 memory. There, new Gilmon, and again, a new BT21 for Data Squad or Sabers Agu. Then the new Aristodramon, and following that up, going to rares, we end up paying Shaman, who is also part of the new Stealth 3 Musketeer support. And following that up, for our next SR hit, you end up hitting the X antibody for Exomon, and thus that leaves Craniumon and Contorsmon without their X antibodies now in the TCG. And well, going over now, the 16 hard play, Digivals for 6 generically off of a level 6 red, blue, or green, or can Digivolve for 2 off of Exa, is Piercing, Blocker, and Invade. And on Digivolve, it suspends down all opposing Digimons and Tamers, then deletes one of their suspended Digimon Tamers. And then all turns, this Digimon suspends. If it has Exa or X antibody underneath, it gets to trash the top of opponent's security. With this definitely being a new high end for the Exomon deck, especially considering what other support is also seeing in this deck, well, in this set. Well, continuing from there, we also get a new option for Shine Gray in the form of the Champion Ultimate Fighter. And from there, we go back to back with a new Geo Gray. And then we hit a new Cyclomon for Dragonkin. From there, new Greymon Egg. And then the new Digimon Egg for Liberators. And from there, Gossipon as an Appmon. And then Wind Guardian's own field spell, granting all their Digimon all Wind Guardians with Vortex. And from there, we end up hitting a very good War Greymon, as ends up being from the Liberator webcomic. With this being able to be hard played at a reduced cost of 2 for each opposing Digimon, in addition to its hard play cost, well, reducing its hard play cost 11, and Generic Evolution 3 off of level 5 red, has Rush, Raid, and Blocker, and all turns whenever it sees opposing Digimon get deleted, it gets to unsuspend. From there, new Agunimon, and then after that, we end up hitting the new Liberator trait, Destromon. This Destromon being definitely a good power boost for Galactimon, as its one digital effect is pretty powerful, since until the end of your opponent's turn, it ends up banning their effects from trashing cards from this Digimon stacks, which actually ends up being very encompassing as it prevents source stripping. In addition, it also protects against DDG, since it also trashes the top card of a stack. Then doing from there, then it hits one of your opponent's Digimon with Digivolve 1 for every 2 Vemmon in its source. And, well, looking it over, it also has the additional, well, evolution cost of 6 over any Vemmon, so you could skip into it. And then all turns, then send you on to leave the Malarium. It allows you to play out a Vemmon from its source without paying the cost, while also having the Industrial Inheritable to redirect attacks by bot decking to Vemmon sources. Then from there, go and Dreadnought again. And as another rare, we end up hitting the new Charismon as the app fusion partner for the Dokachmon, this being towards the line's top end. And continuing from there, we end up paying a new Liberator Sunamon for the Vemmon, and following that up, we also get a new Liberator Vemm, which allows you to recycle your Vemmons, as well as doing the usual reduced cost. And then we finally hit the other fusion material into Karis, being Sociamon. Then from there, we have Watchmon sitting alongside Clockmon there, and we end up hitting our first preview at the new Dragonkin livery line, being Raging Serpentine as the option related to Medusamon, that being Owen's Liberator partner. With this definitely playing into the deck's play feature. Following that, we also hit a new Skull Gray for Adventure trait, and then a new Yellow Koromon, which definitely helps for Shine Gray, new Gumdrum, and a new Rise Gray, which is super good for Shine Gray, allowing any of your Marcuses to come out with Rush and Alliance. And from there, a new Adventure Metal Gray. And from there, we then hit one of the Tamers from the deck, from the set, as this ends up being the Outlook format for the main character Tamers, as we hit Haru Shinkai for the Appmon deck. And following that up, we end up hitting the new Aldamon. Then continuing on from there, and to follow that up, we also get the new app link option, and we end up hitting another interesting point from here, that being the new Galactic Bond related option, Ragnarok Cannon, as it for its main effect deletes posing lowest cost on board, and the most powerful part is its delay, since when it sees one of your Galactic Mon attacks, it delays to pop itself, to then delete opposing Digimon with lowest cost. But if it doesn't delete, you immediately trash the top cards of your opponent's security until they are at 1, which allows for very powerful OTK potential for the deck. With the security effect to play out a Vemmon in text, a card with Vemmon in text with a play cost of 6 or less from hand or trash, then adds itself to hand. With this card actually being the embodiment of Galactimon's role in Digimon World 3 as its final boss, with Ragnarok Cannon being a move that ends up putting you immediately down to 1. Then following that up, we end up hitting the new Liberator Ghost, that is Ghost's archetypal Digievolution Register, Strongest Brothers, Spirit Evolution, Agu, Wind Guardians, new Omni Shout, a new Adventure Guru, then new Hero trait, Shout, and thus we end up hitting the previously alluded to support for Xmon in the form of Dracomon X, who, as you can see, is able to, start main or one Digivolving, immediately allow you to go into Coromon without paying the cost, which is pretty powerful for Xmon as it speeds it up by a metric ton. And then it has the end of turn effect to allow any of your other Digimon to DNA into it. And following that up, we end up hitting our first alter of this box in the form of the new Memory Setter Zenith. With the Zenith coming out for cost, his Memory Setter, and on play ends up pretty much being a Davis for the deck, as it searches top 3 to add a Vemmon she only play out Vemmon without paying cost, or add a new Vemm text card to hand while trashing the rest, which plays very well into the deck's style to recover any Vemmon that sits in trash. And with that, let's sleeve this up. And let's continue on. Wood, Melgama, Dara, Songo, Cyclone, Statch, Vem, Wargrowl, nope, new Wargrowl, so new Wargray, Uchirimon, and we end up paying Megidramon, the newer Megidramon, which ends up looking pretty interesting, as it is a field nuke in and of itself at the end of its own attack, and then immediately revives a Geel or Growl at a cost of 3 or lower. With that, well, with the Growl stipulation being due to adding 2 to this effect's maximum play cost for every 10 in both players' trash. And following that up, we end up paying the new Magnamon, which is definitely 4 armors. And well, continuing on from there. Calendar, the Digimon I designed for Tamers, for Chaos, for Gallantmon. Then Socia, Yoko, New Growl, Sunrisa, Armored Evolution, and we end up hitting Gachmon's App Fusion partner, Nalvimon, being the Appmon searcher, being the searcher for the Appmon deck, and following that, we also end up hitting the Dragonkin's level 4 Liberator in the form of Dimetrimon, who allows you to cheat out Owens, as well as having the neat battle trick to gain 1 memory whenever it sees the opponent's security stack being removed. New Kano Weiss, and for foils, we end up hitting Taimon, and end off with a pretty good rare in the form of the new Hero Seriousmon. And well, let's continue from there. Watch, Sume, Burning Grame, Swipe, Grame, Gigi, Cross Up, and we also get the new Dragonkin Cybertramon, which also plays into Dragonkin's playstyle since it has the neat ability on playing on Digivolve to immediately trash. First off, forces the opponent to place a card from hand to hot security to then trash top of their security. There, new Flame Dramon for armor, Gemma, and we finally hit Gachmon for that. And to exhaust all of our alternate arts, we end up hitting the alternate art for Haru. And that was pure irony following the Gachmon. And well, once again, let's leave that up. And that's pretty much it for alternate hits. Let's continue on and see what we get for our SR hits. Flame, Ghost Gamma, Can't Turn My Back, Geogram, Scope, Champion Ultimate Fighter, Mushroom, Hydra, Cyberjaw, Shout, and we end up hitting the new Shout ×7 Superior Mode as a rare. And for SR, we end up hitting the new Takato. Nope, going over it, this Takato ends up being the passive memory gain, as long as the opponent has Digimon on board. In all turns, whenever your Digimon are played or Digivolve by suspending him, till your opponent's turn, one of your Digimon with Geel, Growl, or Gallant, or Megidra name, or having the hero trait, gain Blocker. And then if there are 10 or more cards in both players' trash, you also grant an additional plus 2000 DP, which is decent support for the deck, as it grants all of your line archetypal line blocker. Well, continuing on from there, let's see what else we get. Kiwi, Gossip, Coral, Raging Serpentine, Applink, Ghost, Skullgrim, Gumdra, Agu, Demetro, and then regular art for Zenith. And following that up, we also get the new iteration of Aristramon Superior Mode. And on to the last pack from the right. Let's see what we end this side off with. Ragnarok Cannon, Dira, Wind Guardians, Armored Evolution, Swipe, Dalgamma, Champion Open Fire, Wargrave, Melgrave, Wargrowl, and we end up paying the new level 5 for the Liberator Dragonkin line form of Lamiamon. Wu ends up carrying around the new keyword Progress, which allows the attacking Digimon to not be affected by opponent's effects. In addition, during your turn, when any reptile or dragon can trade Digimon attacks and see their attack targets change, you immediately trash the top card of your opponent's security, with the unit imperable to spawn out a body whenever the stack sees a security card removed, opponent security removed, to then play out a reptile Dragonkin with 5,000 DP or less from hand without paying cost. And to round that off, we end up hitting for another SR hit with the new Marcus Damon, who ends up being a passive memory gain tamer, and on play allows you to spend any of your Marcus Damons with the Ultraman's effect. When it sees itself be suspended, it grants piercing and plus 3000 DP for the turn on one of your Digimon, then hits one opposing Digimon with minus 3000 DP for the turn. And that's it for the right. Now on to the left. Scope, Yoko, Cyclone, Songo, Yassup, Flame, Sume, Omnishout, Guru, Restra, and then we end up hitting the next best Shine Gray, who pretty much for the most part gets to come out for 3 costs off of a 5 Rise Gray name or hero trait, has Raid, and on attack one Digimon when attacking, allows you to delete one opposing Digimon 9,000 DP or less, and on attack, spends one of your own yellow or red tamers to grant itself Psych +1 and plus 3,000 DP for the turn. With this definitely being a bridge between BT17 and BT13 lines of Shine Gray. Following that, another Dracomon X, I mean. Oh, continuing on. Mushroom, Agu, Cross Up, Snatch, Calendar, Geograin, Grell, Trey, Werguru, Gil, and we end up hitting first copy of Elizamon, who ends up with this iteration being the searcher for the deck. And following that up, another copy of Gotchmon. Well, continuing on from there. Digimon Design, Spirit Evolution, Vemmon, Watch, Wood, Burning Gray, Gigi, Shaman King, Yi, Navi, ×7 Superior Mode, and we end up hitting the last of the new 3 Musketeer support from Appmon, with that being Satellamon. And well, this ends up interacting pretty well for the deck, as you pretty much get to trash a Appmon or 3 Musketeers trait from hand or trash, or from any of your Digimon's bottom evolution cost, bottommost evolution cost, really, given wording. Then it hits when they're opposing Digimon, with the ability to trigger, prevents your opponent's opponent's effects from returning Digimon to hand or deck, or affect them with the Digivolve. In addition, when Digivolving when attacking, trashing I had the other way around, as the on-play one Digivolving is placing as a bottommost. Then, in line with Three Musketeers, allows you to trash a Appmon or Three Musketeers trait from source to then de-Digivolve one opposing Digimon, with a link cost of 3, link effect to cost of 3 to snipe out a level 4 or lower. And then from there, let's continue. And I'd say we could blaze through it now. And nothing new in mind. And we end up paying Regulus. And for a start hit, we keep wrecking in the Tamers with the newest version, newest iteration of Davis, being a 4-cost memory setter with the main effects supporting armor form, as by suspending him down, allows you to trash the top card of one of your armor form trait Digimon to then gain 1, draw 1, and gain 1. And continuing on from there. Blazing through there. Now onto our last cards. Paying Curse, and we end up paying our next SR, being new iteration of Hero, being a 4-cost memory setter. And during your turn, when it sees an effects, place a Digimon card beneath one of your Digimon with Vemmon in their text or hero trait, you get to suspend him down to then draw 1, gain 1. And let's continue on as we pretty much breeze through towards the end. Haru, and we end up paying for our next SR, being the new 4-cost Tagiru, who at the start of your main places a Digimon with save in text or hero trait from your hand underneath himself to draw 1 and gain 1. Then, during your turn, whenever your Digimon would Digivolve into a card with save in its text or hero trait, you get to send them down, and by placing 1 card under your Tamers as any bomb evolution source, you get to reduce the evolution by 1. And following that up, on to the next pack. As we're still ways away, and most of the hype now dying down. And we end up paying a new card in the form of Wingardian's Griffamon. And following that up, another copy of Elizamon. Down to the last 5 now. Let's see what we could get within our last 5 from this box. Skipping all the way. Kurasmon, and then a Shotmon. Let's speed things up even faster. Going to spoil anything serious, and times cross 7 again. Skipping all the way back. And then we hit the new Shaman DX. And then Haru again. Then next up, Applink, Time, and Zenith again. And now on to our last pack. Let's see what we got. To end off with, Draco X and Dogachigan. Well, that's it for the first box. Now on to the next. And now on to the next box. Well, we'll probably be going through this a lot more faster, as for the most part, I've gone over most of the new stuff that is, well, available in the lower rarities. So, I'm going to be going over anything new that comes up pretty much. And starting off that pact will be the promo pack, as we try and see if we hit anything new. And with that, we end up hitting, well, 2 new promo illustrations. With this being the reiteration of BT16 of BT16 Dorogora as the new promo Dorogora, and the promo Guile being on BT9 Guile. And going over them, the new promo Guile is 13 hard play and evolves for 5 generically off of a level 5 black or red, and then has a reboot blocker body with the undigital effect to taunt the opponent, to taunt opposing Digimon, and then allows this Digimon to attack. And then during all turns, where attack targets change, you're able to burn away top 1 security. And then following that is the new iteration of the SOC Dorogora, 12 hard play, and 4 cost generically off of a level 5 purple black, or for 3 costs off of a level 5 Dorogora name, or any SOC level 5. Has collision in Sec +1. And then on Digivolve, melee gains plus 3,000 until the end of opponent's turn. Then if Ghost Gaze underneath, you get to allow all your SOC traits to unsuspend. Pretty much adding further aggro plays for SOC. Then on to the limited card pack. And then mid-round, I end up researching this. As for the most part, you're guaranteed 1 Valkyrie, 1 Vike, 1 Ragaculis, 1 Restial, 1 Darkdraw, 1 Ghoul on Ace, and the last card is actually one of the random reprints, alt art reprints. And in this case, we end up hitting it big, as the alt art reprint from that set for a secret rare is for BT13 Gallimon, with it pretty much showing Gallant slashing through. And that's it for the box toppers. Now on to the packs, which to avoid some awkward signs as we go through this pretty fast. It'll be actually probably me discussing upcoming plans during this format, since for the most part I am actually looking forward to pretty much revamping a few decks, given that, again, he ends up hoping the floodgates for it, since obviously Shine Gray got some really good support this set, and then also, well, we also have new Galactic Mon support with a new Liberator Vemmon to work off of, and thus also leads into the new Dragonkin Liberator stuff as the second Liberator deck to work off of. And then next to that, I'd say the lineup is also revisiting some other older archetypes that I got. Some new toys to work with. For the most part, I'd say, well, Three Musketeers definitely sounds interesting now that the Appmon stuff ends up helping the deck in ways that no one expected. And from there, we end up hitting our first new thing in the form of an alt art Takato. with it being a cute depiction of Takato and Gilmon. And now, continuing on at a much more brisk pace until we see anything interesting come up. Terrace and shot again. And well, aside from, what else comes up, I'm also looking forward how Adventure plays, especially given the new support. Since, well, from the looks of the structure decks alone, they do work pretty well. Well, with the support from, obviously, the set that coincides with it, it definitely sees some useful support that helps with its own game plan. And we end up hitting the first new thing in a while, which is being the new boss monster for Galactic, being the newest iteration of Galacticmon. 14 hard play, 6-2 digital generically off of level 6 black, I mean level 5 black for 6, or alternatively for 9 costs off of Snatch. Has a 1 digital viewing effect to place up to 4 Vems in text. 4 Vemmon cards. Oh, let me reword that correctly. Allows you to place up to 4 cards with Vemmon in their text from trash, but not specifically Vemmons, to bottom source. Then it allows you to use Ragnarok Cannon from hand or trash without paying cost. In this case, it allows you to use its main effect, then allows it to delay, establish stuff on board to set up for your delay later. Hence the OTK potential of the deck now. And during the start main, it ends up blowing up any opposing Digimon, making this Galacticmon a much more bigger threat to work with, since it now gets to blow up any Digimon on the opponent's board. And then has the Altern's effect. That is also the same as its previous iteration, to pretty much protect itself from leaving the field by just returning 4 Vemmons from source to bot deck. And then let me fix up holes, since I ended up expediting it too fast. And let's get back on track. One more expedited thing. And for the most part, this set is mostly just a lot of bolstering some previous playstyles as well, as you could no doubt tell. And following that, we hit the final alternate art slot for this set. Well, for this box, being the alt-art for Taiki. And that's it for all the alt-arts in this box. Now let's see what we get in terms of our SR lineup for the remainder of it, at least. That's it for the right. Now on to the left. And so far from the pulls rate so far within just the 2 boxes, with 1 box alone, you do end up seeing at least a full playset of most of your low rarity stuff. Well, most of your commons and uncommons, with a little bit extra to boot, a little bit over a whole playset. Then, we pretty much are struggling along, since, for the most part, it is just plowing through for anything new. Bell roll. This box has been interesting work with, as it's now just, for the English side of things now, since it's now, and, And to end off of that, we end up hitting another hidden slot within this set, and that being signature cards that are reworked arts for certain ones. And in that, and for our case, we end up hitting one chase in the form of the signed chase version of BLZ Blast Mode from EX2. And I wasn't really expecting to see one of these. But it is a nice inclusion to have hit from this box. That aside, well, that ends up definitely elevating this box a bit. And, well, let's continue on as we near the end of this pack opening. Since for the most part, we have been running dry on any new things to talk about. And nope, nothing new for another SR repeat. And down to the last three. Let's hope to see if we get anything new. And, oh, jinxed again. As I was hoping to, well, see if we end up hitting Medusamon. That being the new Liberator high-end for Dragonkin. And, nope, but we ended up getting good, the iconic pairing. And last pack. Let's see if we get anything good. And apparently not. Yep, that's it for this box 2. Now on to the recap. And on to the recap. Well, now we'll start box result-wise. Box 1 came out as a low roll, though in my opinion a mid-roll, since I ended up getting one of the chase cards, being the new reprint of Analog Youth. Well, box 2 here ended up being also a mid-roll that elevated up to mid, all thanks to the signed alt art of VX2 BLZ Blast Mode showing up. Since, and as an overall overview of the box itself, for the most part, you do get at least a full playset of most of the commons and uncommons in the set. Well, foil-wise, obviously, rares tends to be, well, between the two boxes so far, I've at least gotten a couple playsets of the rares. Well, SRs are pretty much, again, subject to hitting, well, regular and then the alternate if possible in the alternate slot. Well, overall, this set has been, and well, I would like to preface again, this is the first set under the unified format. As, well, a fun thing that I didn't really get to talk over since, well, we did manage to hit one of the choice cases, was the notion of, well, language exclusive alt arts. As the only two language exclusives in this set were the alt art Liberator, Galactimon, and the alt art for Medusamon. As, well, the English, Chinese, and Japanese versions of this set all had different artists for that alt art of that, well, for both of those alt arts, as seen here. And, well, that ends up being, though it's definitely something new, considering that, obviously, it's a departure, well, under in this unified format. Albeit definitely wanting to, well, see a couple of those arts show up in the English set, but it's definitely something new. But once again, we enter now the BT21 format. As for the most part, this, well, I'd like to preface again with this set, it ends up being, for the most part, a callback set, as ends up granting support to some of the older existing archetypes throughout the game's history, even some that already got recent support from 2.5 / BT19 and BT20, though it also ends up giving way to some new stuff, as we got support for the adventure format, for the adventure trait, that coincided with this release in the form of the 2 structure decks, as well as, well, again, bringing up the new Dragonkin Liberator deck, and also Wingardians, and, well, also bringing up Appmon to the forefront as officially being part of Digimon. And, well, that has been my look at BT21, World's Convergence for the Digimon TCG. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this around to help with the algorithm and to keep up to date with what I do. And this is Cyberdraw, signing off.